junior high, I switched schools, and I had to wait. I wanted to be in the acting program, and before I could be in the acting program, I had to join the orchestra, like the music program. Everybody had, you know, a secondary thing you did besides math and English. You did like a thing, like acting or dance or whatever, and this was, so the only place that there was room for me was the music program. So I went in and they were like, what do you play? And I said violin, which is like, I had like kind of learned how to play Mary Has a Little Lamb in grade 6, but we had stopped playing it to go outside and smoke cigarettes. And so anyway, I didn't really know how to play violin, but I was like, I play violin. They were like, great, we're actually gonna sit you in the second chair right next to the first violinist. And I was like, oh, okay. And the first, such an embarrassing story. The first violinist, Sonia, was a virtuoso. She was like a 13-year-old girl who was, I don't know, like a yo-yo ma, like but for the violin, but she could just play amazing. And she was, you know, so beautiful and wonderful at playing the violin, so she'd be like, da 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 da. And I sat next to her and I was like, I literally just know a few strings of Mary Had a Little Lamb. I can't play next to you. And so I faked it. So what I did was, every time she would be playing, I just acted next to her like I'm so great and just played a little bit off of the string. And it worked amazingly. The feedback was, oh, we're so glad Ivana's in this. She really looks like she knows what she's doing. And it was one of those situations where the more your ego inflates, the more you feel like, oh, I've got this. Like, maybe I am a violinist like Sonia, da 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 da. Sonia and I hung out, we ate lunch together, like I was like killing it in orchestra class, killing it, okay. And so then, I didn't know this because it was a new school, new situation, I'm just waiting to get into the acting program. The teacher's like, today is our test day, where you get up and you play one at a time the piece that we'd all been playing as an orchestra. So, Sonia gets up and plays and is amazing, and you know, the teacher's crying. I get up and I don't know what to do, so I just sabotage, like just insanity. And the class and the teacher is just shocked and we don't know what to do. Meeting with my mom, you know, Ivana, she's here, we don't have room in the acting in order for her to stay in the school, she needs to learn how to play the violin. So my mom takes out a keyboard, she has like one of those electric keyboards, and every day after school she teaches me music lessons with the keyboard and me with the violin. And it's like this very slow, humbling process. And I'm like, it's very hard for me because I have this image of the perfection that I was pretending to be, and the actual way I was, and the gap between those was so large, and just like being in reality with that gap was very painful for me, especially, always, but in junior high. And so then we do more tests, more one at a time tests, and I'm not faking it, but I'm not like doing well. I'm getting, you know, D's and E's. I think we have E's in Canada and F's, and like I'm getting all these, but I'm like, I'm working with my mom every day, and she's like, it's very rudimentary. It's very like, da da da, like just basics, okay? And so I'm learning the basics, and one day I get up to play, and the gap has closed a little bit, and so I'm actually doing well. And it was so painful for me how much work had to go into just being passable in this thing that in my mind I had kind of imagined I was brilliant at. You know, in some dark corner of my mind I thought, this is easy, like look at how easy Sonia makes it, you know, not realizing she had been practicing since she was 2 probably. And so when I stand up to do the test, the class is finally with me, and the conductor is with me, like, oh, look at her, this is actually quite good. And I start to have tears stream down my face because the reality of it was like so painful for me, of just what it took to be average. And the reason why I feel like my writing students and writers always love that story is because that's a bit what it is when you start to write something. You have this faking it version of how amazing it's going to be, that it's going to be this perfect piece, that it's never going to hurt you in any way, like it's just going to come out like perfectly formed, and you're not going to have to struggle or be rudimentary or average ever. Like, you're going to be Sonia, you know? And the truth is that it takes that daily humbling practice of doing it every day and just making yourself available to it to get to the place where you can play at a C level, which is horrifying, I know. but the only way you can get to the A level, you have to pass through C. So most people, when they're starting out, they just want to know that they're going to be perfect. Well, you'll end in an amazing place, but you have to be willing to be bad at it for quite some time, and like the daily willingness of it is the way to go. And I think why that story always makes my students feel better is because they picture me sucking in violin